back, listeners, to another interesting conversation on the BizBlend podcast. I'm your host, Sana, and as you all know, this is the space where we cut through the noise of entrepreneurship and get real about building businesses that actually work for your life. Now, listeners, in this episode, we are diving into a business model that is exploding right now: paid communities. And our guest, Carol Tice, knows this world inside and out. Well, let me share a bit about Carol with all of you. She's the founder of Community Growth Academy on School, and previously she has built Freelance Writers Den, a thriving community of 1,500 paying members that generated nearly $6 million dollars over its lifetime before she sold it in 2021. And Carol now helps coaches, consultants, and experts build online communities they can actually sell. Now, from navigating the tough moments of being stuck twice to structuring a business for a successful exit, Carol's insights, listeners, they are going to shift the way you think about recurring revenue and impact. So, whether you are running a coaching business, building a membership, or you're simply curious about the future of online entrepreneurship, this episode is for you. So, with that, Carol, welcome to the show. And I'm really excited about this conversation with you.
Thanks for having me, Sana. I feel like you beautifully summed up a lot of the things that I love about paid community in that intro.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your kind words. And yeah, one thing which really, I think this is going to be a highlight of the purpose behind discussing the power of paid community is recurring revenue and impact. And this is, to me, I think personally, what I believe it's more relevant right now because we are financially, economically in the most uncertain times. So to have people who are active part of your community, kind of, in the most uh, absolute marketing terms, brand advocates. I mean, you are engaging with them, they're engaging with you, and they're paying for it for the fact there is a recurring revenue in there. I think that really, really sets the foundation for longevity in a business.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you brought up the economy and yeah, the kind of uncertain times we're in because I feel like out in the marketplace of online business, there's such a drumbeat about selling high ticket. You need a $10,000 offer. I'm going to, give me $10,000 and I'll teach you how to get lots of $10,000 clients. There's so much of this going on. And there was, back in 2008 when I first started my blog for writers and was looking for ways to monetize it. And I affiliate sold for some people doing high ticket. I tried putting ads on my site. I tried all the typical ways. I did paid webinars. And I, heard their stories about, oh, $10,000 product. And I just knew that the audience I was serving, that would be such a tough slog, starving freelance writers and aspiring freelance writers to try and sell them something that was $10,000. And I don't know, just coming from a sort of lower middle class background, deep in my heart, I just wasn't feeling that. I didn't want to ask people for $10,000. That
Mhm.
just wasn't where I sat in the business world. And when I was growing my blog, I joined a paid community, a cheap paid, monthly membership paid community for bloggers to learn how to make your blog more successful. And the minute I got into it, I went, this is amazing. And there should be something like this for freelance writers. And I don't think there is. And that was the beginning of my journey to founding Freelance Writers Den. And just the idea of, taking your high value knowledge about how to do something, in my case, on the first round, how to earn six figures as a freelance writer and stop being underpaid and, get good rates and get good clients. Um, Being able to take that sort of high value knowledge that I could have sold, I could have found 12, $10,000 clients to coach in the year, or I could make the price of that $25 a month, no obligation, leave any time. And I could help not 12 people in a year, but, 1,200 people in a year. That was so much more appealing to me. And
Mhm.
also, I felt like my audience was such a fit for community, which is that they're trying to do something and they have a lot of questions. If it's something pretty simple to do, like community is probably not needed, but I was getting all these emails that were like, "Oh my god, I have a prospect meeting tomorrow and I don't know what to say and do," and everyone had so many questions. And that's why the community format, I just knew it was the right way to organize it. And I'd done one-on-one coaching. I had done small group coaching. It's
Mhm.
and it's not like I didn't get results in that. I did, but I found that the results weren't as consistent and reliable as I wanted. And having the peer support in the community makes people a lot more successful. So there were
Yeah.
just a lot of factors to it that really appeal to me and that still appeal to me. Even more so probably now, that ability to impact more people, have a low ticket offer, which is easier to sell. I did not come out of marketing like a lot of people in my help freelance writer space did come out of marketing. And that whole, "Oh, let's do 2-hour hard sell webinars all week long and, sell, 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 sell." I just didn't want to do that much marketing. I wanted to spend my time helping freelance writers get gigs. And, I wanted to be working most of my time on the transformation, not on the marketing, get better results, impact more lives, and of course, the part that's really in it for you, more reliable income, totally predictable, regular, recurring monthly income. And that you operate the levers on. If you see it going down, you can run a sale, you can open the doors, you could do a secret sale to only people on your wait list. You have a lot of ways to just drive that back up to where you need it. And, yeah, I ran that for 12 years, which is a long time to stay in this kind of a business, I've learned. And, I thought I was done after that one. But before I jump into the story of Community Growth Academy, I'm sure you have some questions. That was a lot.
I've a lot of I've a lot of for 12 years.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
That's something really interesting, and that definitely needs some amount of X factor in there, Carol. And one thing, as you mentioned that, um, of course, in your area of expertise and in the freelancing industry, it's mostly, the marketers, and it's about the metrics, the target metrics, the goals, and everything. But you had a purpose in your heart, in your mind, and you had a vision also, that okay, this is what I want, this is what I want my members of in the community to have an easy access, both on their wallets and through whatever they would like to contribute to the community, and peers could help each other and something like that. So I think uh, one question that comes to my mind is, did you still have a roadmap in your mind that, okay, let me work on this in the initial 6 months, first 6 months, then 1 year, then I'll take a risk of continuing this? Or you were completely like, let's just get into this and let's see, I'll see what happens.
That's an interesting question. Because of the way I built the den, I didn't have a lot of questions in my mind about whether it could achieve some kind of critical mass and function and be a business because of the pre-marketing cycle that I did. And this is how I teach everyone in Community Growth Academy to work on their own launches, which is that first of all, if you don't have an audience for the community you're trying to build, you need to start by building one. You need at least, 500 people or something kind of coalesced around the idea that you have expertise. I think when I launched it in, I had about 750 members. I
Mhm.
I had 750 blog subscribers. who I could sell it to. And then you start asking them what they need from you. You do a survey. If I was going to do a paid community, what what would you want to have in it? What would be high value to you? Do you want weekly office hours, live events with other experts? What can I bring you? What would be the kind of content that would attract you to this community? What kind of courses should we teach? Here's a list of topics. What would be your favorite ones? And so I started getting the people who knew my expertise involved in my launch. And that's what you want to do. You want to build in public. I have encountered too many people who went off in the corner, built their whole paid community. They were like, well, I do have this, I lost 100 pounds and I want to do a community for people who want to do radical weight loss. I'm going to make a course off in a corner by myself and build a community around it. And then I'm going to just write a week's worth of launch emails and start cranking them out to the world or posting on social, whatever I do to promote it. And nothing happens because they haven't brought anyone along on this journey where they're saying, "What do you think of the name? I have some possible names for my community. Which one do you like best? What do you think of this logo? How about these brand colors?" You know, um, when you're constantly talking about what you're building and asking people about it, you get people so involved in it. And actually, because my audience is writers, we had this whole the most intense discussion I've probably ever had on my blog about whether it would be Freelance Writers Den and the writers would be apostrophe S or S apostrophe or no apostrophe. Over 100 comments because writers deeply care about this kind of thing. And so that was 100 people who got involved in my launch right there on that one pre-marketing question. And, the upshot was that headlines don't have to be grammatical, and it is Freelance Writers Done with no apostrophe, and you can't put an apostrophe in a URL anyway, so it was good to get rid of it. But I involved so many people in just the branding discussion. And so then when you do your launch, it's just basically messaging that thing we've been talking about together that you told me you need in your life to help you succeed. It's open now and you can join it. And yeah, it's a big 25 bucks a month, no obligation, leave any time. This is what they call a hand raising offer, a no-brainer. It's so low ticket, so no risk. And we were doing a, 1 week or 2 week refund policy, just come in, look around. And if you don't like it, we want to refund you. We only want people who want to be here. And it's just so easy to sell it, especially to all the people who helped you make it. And all of the people who took the survey got a half price ticket that was good as long as they stayed in. And those people stayed in forever and ever because they didn't want to lose that price.
That is so awesome. You especially, Carol, I really loved that involvement part, especially when you are part of the most basic fundamental journey of building a brand, that it does this logo work or does this logo work, does apostrophe s will work or just no s will work. I think such minute um decisions, when they are made by, when all the members of the community are participating in that, and it really I think it really um obviously signifies the meaning of community involvement and engagement. And of course there's convenience, that $25 you can leave anytime. And that yeah, I think I'll definitely take these two um takeaways with me when it comes to building our own community as well. That's
Oh, are
really
you
good.
building a community? I can't wait to hear about that. I am, yeah, some people would ask me for annual memberships and I didn't end up offering them because I wanted to be able to stick with my mantra. It's $25 a month, no obligation, leave any time. That to me was such an appealing pitch to make. And I think as soon as I sold it, they raised the price to 40 and did annual memberships. So, the thing about paid community is it's your business to run and you take your survey data into consideration, but it doesn't mean you necessarily do every single thing your survey told you to do. I did go with a slightly higher price than people told me they wanted to pay because I didn't think the math would pencil out. But yeah, the important thing is really this is all a form of marketing and bringing these people along so they already feel like it's their community. They helped make it. And I think that so many entrepreneurs are beset with deep dark fears about what they want to do, but the launch that they are planning, and they go off in a corner and do it all by themselves, and they don't talk to any of the prospects about what it is they need, and they build something nobody wants. And it's tragic. It's like such a waste of time and energy on your side and possibly money if you're working with a team to create that. And, you know, just start putting it out there and let it get shaped by what people need, and then you'll have a product people will buy at the end of this rainbow. And it's great. We ramped pretty quickly to about 500 members, and we taught you talked about overcoming kind of places where I got stuck, and that was the first place. Um, and I ran that by some mentors of mine, and they were like, "Oh, well, it seems like your community is open all the time. So people are probably leaving because they feel like they could come back anytime, and they're not joining now because they feel like, well, I'll join, this summer when I have more time or whatever." You need to close the doors and make more of a feeling of exclusivity that this is a rare opportunity to get in and that this is kind of an exclusive community. Even though it's low ticket, it's like you can't always have it. And that's what we did, close the doors. I was completely terrified to do that and not be open all the time, and would immediately ramp to about 1,000 members, just pretty rapidly, you know, it took off. People didn't leave because they saw they couldn't always get back in. People started joining when we were open. It also was huge administratively because when you're always open, you have to always be onboarding new members and getting them all comfy and situated, and that takes a lot of energy out of your team, and that way and that was what I would usually say at the end of we'd run campaigns for, like, 5, 7 days, and I'd say, "We have to get back to serving our members, so this has to end. This has to wrap so we can get you all onboarded, and we can get back to, get on to teaching the course we're about to launch or whatever is going on, in the den." And then I got stuck again at 1,000. And that time, we really tried a lot. We threw a lot of things at the wall that weren't working. And that time I hired a business consultant and did $10,000 worth of business consulting with her. And she really was brilliant in identifying what my problem was, which is that over the years of doing that, and I had gone in too many directions. I had a small group coaching program built onto it, and selling that because it was higher ticket was taking a chunk of time. And I also had a co-owned other business I had started with another writing coach friend of mine. So sometimes I was selling things for that business, and sometimes I was selling a Den Open, and sometimes I was selling the mid-career program, Den 2X Income Accelerator. And she was like, "This is too many asks. You're doing too many things here." And also, I was doing this consulting with an eye to selling the business, and because I'd been approached. So this is probably like 2018 or 19 or so, I started to get inbound, just unsolicited, "Hey, have you ever thought about selling your business?" And this coach pointed out to me that that this coaching program would not be part of a sale. I am that business, I am the coach. So that goes away in a sale. It's not of interest to the buyer. I need members, 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 members. And so I shut down the coaching. Actually put it in a box. I turned it into a course you could self-study. So it was another Den asset. And got out of the other co-owned business. All roads led to the Den, and that's how we drove it to 1,500 members, which I had figured out doing the math of what kind of multiple I could get for my business was the level I needed to hit to really sell it for enough to make it worthwhile, to make it worth doing to me.
Hmm. I think that's a very important learning for especially founders, because many listeners, they feel like, they hit a plateau and it means like they are failing. But uh, this particular example, that phase that you mentioned, it really normalizes the bumps along the way. It's natural, and
It means
this
something needs adjusting, something in the business model needs an adjustment.
exactly, exactly. And that laser sharp focus is definitely needed because you have had too much on your plate to handle. So, yeah, that really gives a very important lesson, especially for founders and entrepreneurs.
And
Mm.
yeah, and we were talking about building a business you can sell. The thing that breaks my heart is that most coaches and consultants are not building a business they can ever sell. They are working till they drop. They, I hope they're socking some money away because they do not have a saleable asset they can sell for to fund their retirement. You know, there's nothing there. Every time I go to a coach's website and it's named, mynamecoaching.com, I just sort of die a little inside because I just go, you know, that here's a business you can never escape. Um, you're stuck here forever until unless you just shut the doors. If you want to, whenever you want to stop, you just close the doors. That's what happens because you are the business. So building a community and we're creating courses and assets that are living inside of it. And obviously the community support is a huge, huge factor. That all can live without me. And still does today. It's been 4 years now and it's still going. I still get people on LinkedIn all the time in mailing me saying, "Oh, I just joined the Den."
Mhm. Yeah, I think this is also something very important because, um, and especially it happens with founders, entrepreneurs, especially during the exit phases. That if the entire business is revolving around me, what will happen when I leave? That
Yes.
particular and
Buyers have tremendous skepticism about what will happen when they take you out of the business. And they want a lot of reassurances that this business, that your team knows how to do all the things, that other experts could be recruited to, run courses, that you are not the business and you can step away from it and they will still have a valuable asset. That's so important to understand.
Hmm, that's a super critical insight, Carol. Super critical. Yeah. And before we wrap up, Carol, I mean, what's the one big shift that you think business owners, they need to make right now if they want to build something that lasts and that they could eventually sell?
Well, the shift that I've made, and I would encourage other people to think about this, and it's hard to do because we're so head down in our business. So when I sold my first community, I thought I was done doing this. I thought I was going to drive off into the sunset. And a mentor of mine talked with me about the expertise that I had. What I found when I sold the community was that I missed the community that, and other community founders say this to me too. The thing about being a community founder is work is really fun. You're changing people's lives. They really love what you bring. It's very personally fulfilling to see the life transformation you're creating for people. But of course, I had a non compete, so I couldn't like start another community about freelance writing. And I felt like that was all I knew. That's where I had spent my life in, writing for pay. And my one of my mentors who I ended up working with on Community Growth Academy, said, "What did you learn? What expertise did you get in 12 years of running a paid community?" And I was like, how to run a paid community. I was like, "Oh my god, I could talk about paid community all day. I love paid community. It's the best business model." I there's so much to know, and we were off to the races building another community because I realized I just had more to contribute. There was a broader life transformation I could create, not just sort of in one tiny industry. Now I'm helping people in all kinds of niches. People are launching investment communities inside Community Growth Academy. One is for marketing for remodelers. People are launching like memoir writing communities, and one of my members relocated to Europe from America, and she's launching We're Moving to Europe, and all about everything you need to know to move abroad. So now I'm able to help. Like, I've broadened my scope and impact. So I'd say the big question to ask yourself is what you're doing something that could have a broader audience than you are thinking about now? Could you open up, new markets, do this in a new way that you could impact even more people?
Hmm. I think that advice really, really lands. Really lands. Awesome. So, of course, if our listeners, they would like to connect with you, Carol, for more wisdom and such golden nuggets. What would be the best way?
I think the best place is to just come to school and look for Community Growth Academy. You can also find my kind of a lot more about my story at communitygrowth.school, spelled the regular way, School. And I should have a link, hopefully, to go with this for my free case study all about how I built and sold the den.
Awesome. I'll make sure to have all the links in the show notes. And wow, Carol, this was such an enriching conversation for me as well. Lot of takeaways, and especially when we focus on a paid community, I think it isn't just about a steady recurring revenue. It's definitely creating an asset that has value far beyond your own involvement. So thank you so much for sharing these
My
good.
pleasure.
So to all the listeners out there of BizBlend, if you're ready to start building community, or if you want to learn how to make your coaching or consulting business truly scalable and sellable, be sure to check out Community Growth Academy on School. I'll have all the links in the show notes along with this episode. And thank you to all of you for joining us. Um, you know, Business growth, it doesn't have to mean hustling harder. It is about building the right foundation so you can create impact and freedom. So we'll catch you next time on BizBlend. Until then, this is your host, Sana, signing off. Thank you.